We see the same in relationships. We see people who are looking for someone to fix all of their problems rather than recognizing themselves. Okay, is, what am I looking for here? Am I looking for someone to fix all of my problems? Because I'm not going to find someone to fix that. I need to understand myself first and understand the role of the person that I'm inviting into my life. What role do I want them to fulfill? You're listening to Give Yourself Some Leeway with me, your host, Eugene Lee. Over the last 5 years, through my burnout experience, podcasting, and coaching, I have learned a lot about burnout recovery as a high achiever. What to do, what not to do, and the common mistakes that many people, like myself, make along the way. This podcast is dedicated to help you break the burnout cycle, optimize your life for peak performance when you need it most, and rediscovering how to truly enjoy living again. That's the key to your growth and success. I was called an old fart for saying this recently, but I believe social media has left us feeling more disconnected than ever before. And I'm not sure if that's by design. Maybe that's a deep philosophical theory for another day, but for something that's supposed to connect us with the world, it has ruined our definition of what a friend is. Having a friend on Facebook might be someone you follow or have an interest in, or you might have liked the same meme, but you don't know that person on a deeper level. Developing friendships takes time and commitment, and people don't have the time or the effort or the capacity to do that nowadays. They've lost the art of developing a friendship, of maintaining that relationship. And it's very easy to fall out of friendship also, or to fall out of those relationships that you might have built in earlier years in school, in university. I even know myself, there are a lot of friends that I made back in my college years. And the only way we stay in contact is sending the odd video on Facebook or on Instagram. And even at that, I've phased myself out of using Facebook and Instagram a lot recently. I might throw up the odd live, or I might send the odd 10 reels to someone in my spare time when I'm scrolling. I'm still a victim of that myself. It's so it's recognizing that difficulty that I have, that addiction to scrolling and finding, like, procrastinating in spare time. It's so easy to send reels, but that's not true connection. And why is this connection important? Why am I rattling on about we need to find connection? Most importantly, I find that men need a stronger form of connection. They need a sense of community. They need a tribe in order for their own personal growth and development. They need that support. And a lot of men don't have that support. If you think about the tribe back in the olden days, as I'd say, back in the day when you had a village or community, everyone had their role. You'd had the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. You'd have the farmers, the gardeners. You'd have all the produce coming in. Everyone would have a purpose in the village. And if anyone in that village left, or if anyone in that village died, then they would be missing that part of the village. They'd be missing. It's like, oh, we've lost the butcher. We need someone to replace the butcher. Someone has to step up and become the butcher. That's their purpose. And when everyone has a sense of purpose within the community, that's what binds them together, that they all depend on one another. They're not completely independent. They're not completely dependent on each other, but they're not completely independent. They're not going solo and not wanting to reach out to someone else to help. They're there for each other, knowing that you can reach out to someone for help. And nowadays, people feel like they either need to do things all for themselves, or they need to find their partner. So their spouse, their girlfriend, their boyfriend is going to be the one who has to fulfill all of those roles for them. Oh, they need to be my partner. They need to be my best friend. They need to be my emotional support. They need to be my shrink. They need to be everything for me. And if they're not everything for me, they're not there to support me in all of these capacities, then they're not the one for me. They're not developed enough for me. They haven't grown up enough for me yet. And that's not fair in anyone to lump all those roles. The same as going in for a job interview when they expect you to be a master of all trades, not to mind a jack of all trades. They want you to be a master of all those trades and never get anything wrong, and not not accept any failure from you. That's a toxic job culture if you, right there. But we see the same in relationships. We see people who are looking for someone to fix all of their problems rather than recognizing themselves. Okay, is, what am I looking for here? Am I looking for someone to fix all of my problems? Because I'm not going to find someone to fix that. I need to understand myself first and understand the role of the person that I'm inviting into my life. What role do I want them to fulfill? What role do I want them to fulfill? And that can't take away the role of a best friend. You still have to have someone who fulfills the role of the best friend outside of that. Someone who fulfills the role of your emotional support. When things aren't going your way, you can't just be like, well, or if you get in a fight with your spouse, you can't say, well, I've lost my best friend, I've lost my emotional support, I don't know who to turn to because I can't talk to them right now, or you just might be in a tough spot. If you don't have that network, a lot of people just feel lost. So what we need is to find what kind of community do we need to join in order to fulfill these roles. And it might not just be the one community, it might not just be the one thing. But first, you need to understand, what is it that you're missing? What do you have, but you're still wanting for? What is it that's missing in your life? And if you feel that's emotional support, if you feel that's knowledge exchange, maybe it's you feel that there's a knowledge gap and you don't know where to go from here. This can be in your career, it can be in your relationship, it could be in your finances, it could be in your health. You've just got stuck in a rut and you don't know who to reach out to. What's the next best step forward for me? So first, let's think of ways that you can find your tribe. What are good ways to start out? For some, it's sports. Sports is a great way. It's an outlet, it's active, it's you've got team development. One area that I really don't recommend because, well, from my own experience, I don't like when you use an outlet like alcohol as your community, as your tribe, as your social outing, because then you associate going out for a drink with the lads is your sense of community. That's your emotional support. And often people blur the lines between, is it going out with the lads, or is it the pint in my hand, or is it the drink that is giving me that support? So if you feel that you're vulnerable in a state where you feel that the lads won't meet up with you if you're not going out for a drink, that's not a good community to have. That's not a solid tribe. You need to find people that have the same interests, the same values as you, or similar values, and also have integrity around those values, that they stand up to them, that they don't just let them slip when it suits them or when they think it suits them and don't show up for you. You need someone who can be accountable. So we have the physical. What I do is I encourage people, especially since we're out of lockdown and all this, is to find an in-person community. Get away from the online ones for now and find at least one in-person community where you can engage with people in person. And it can be as simple as meeting up for tea and coffee, meeting up for a chat, volunteering. Volunteering is a great one where you can contribute to your community and get to know people, get to know your locality. Another one is that I found, especially here in Basel, is finding English speaking communities. It's one thing that we have in common is that it's very difficult. It's not even just learning German here. It's learning the Swiss German. It's like another language completely, the dialect compared to speaking High German. And that's what it made learning German here for me very challenging. Still is very challenging. And that's what drew me more to the English community here, the English speaking community, and engaging more with them. And I joined two groups, one Internations, which is for expats, and another one called Centerpoint, which is an English speaking community in the center of Basel. And both offer the chance to meet other people and their experiences living in this new city and trying to integrate and helping out in the community, or in Internations, it's more socializing and networking. So it depends on what you're looking for. Is it your health? Is it sports? Is it exercise? Is it activity? Is it your career? Do you want to network professionally? Or is it relationships? Are you going out and trying to find a new partner? Are you going out dating? That's where you have the social scene. Well, for a lot of people, they're trying to go out in the dating scene and they haven't figured out what they're truly looking for in themselves yet. So that's where I feel if you don't have a sense of community, you should not go out and seek out your next partner or seek out dating. If you're not fully authentic to yourself, you're not just escaping into the next person who's supposed to be fulfilling all these needs. You're taking a step back and rediscovering who you truly are yourself. Or maybe you're discovering yourself for the first time because you never sat down with yourself or with others who can help you explore the deeper parts of yourself. Having those deeper conversations and understanding what your values are now, not what your values were when you were younger. Your values can change a lot over time. What are your values now? What's truly valuable to you? What do you hold dear to your heart? What are you committed to doing with the next 5, 10, 20 years of your life? And how are you going to do that? That's the importance of having community. I think the main reason why this came up is we're going into the holiday season. We've got Thanksgiving and we've got Christmas, and especially going into January. January can be the loneliest time of the year for a lot of people. And that's where having a community, having a tribe around you really, really helps. It's one of the reasons why here in Basel, I started the Basel Men's Mentoring Group so that we can have our own tribe here in Basel to discuss all the topics that in a safe space for men that don't have that outlet otherwise. And it was something that I was looking for a long time. I was lucky enough to join a group in the US, but their meeting hours were 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. my time. So it was not very feasible in the long term. And when I couldn't find one here in Basel, I said, well, if I can't find one, how about I start one? Let's see if there's interest. Let's gauge some interest and see where it goes from here. So rather than saying, oh, there's no community for me here. Why not gauge some interest and see, maybe if I start my own group and see if there's other people with similar interests in the area, maybe I can start my own community. It might be small at first, it might be small in numbers, but it could be quality over quantity. It might just be a group of lads that really connect with you. And what more could you want? I really hope this connected with you today. Having connection now is more important than ever. If you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, stuck in a rut, or running in circles all the time, trust me, I've been there too. The pursuit for peak performance, especially as a high achiever, is not about pushing harder all the time. It's about learning to work smarter, find balance, and reignite that spark that got you started in the first place. That's why I developed the Burnout Recovery Blueprint. Join me for 12 weeks to overcome your burnout. Let's break the burnout cycle and restore your vitality. Develop sustainable habits proven for peak performance when you need it most. Rediscover the meaning and purpose in the work that you do. And boost your productivity and impact without sacrificing your health. If you're ready to invest in your personal growth and success, let's break the burnout cycle together. Let's work together. Let's have that call. The link is in the show notes. Until next week, take care.